If you can, just sort of recap why these results are taking so long and why in some cases we're seeing what were Trump leads yesterday and last night shrinking and in some cases becoming Biden leads.
Yeah, if I had a hammer, I'd keep hammering it, Diane. It's important to remember there's nothing surprising here. And in fact, the states that we're talking about that are taking a while to vote told us in advance it's going to take a while. And we knew that from the way that the state laws are structured. We knew that in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, the record numbers of early votes weren't even going to begin to get counted until yesterday, until Election Day itself. And in Pennsylvania in particular, state election officials warned us it's going to take several days to get a complete vote count. Wisconsin now has completed that count. Michigan's getting close. Pennsylvania's going to get closer. Georgia will be close as well. The western states that I mentioned, Arizona and Nevada, a lot of the vote that hasn't been tallied so far is actually Election Day vote as opposed to early vote. But regardless, that's how the state laws are structured. And it's a reminder again that the presidential election in this country is run by individual states, administered through a very decentralized system at a very local level. The information flows up through the states, and every state has to abide by its own laws. And the president or anyone else doesn't get to say to a state, this is when you have to stop a vote. This is how you have to conduct an election. There are unique rules. There are unique laws. Some of them are antiquated. Some of them are silly, but they exist, and states follow them. And that is exactly what continues to go on now as election workers continue to count the record number of votes that were cast in the run-up to yesterday, and yesterday included.
And Rick, in many of these cases, how we saw that unfold in terms of whether Donald Trump gained more votes later on in the night, earlier in the morning, or whether Biden made those gains later on in the counting process, had a lot to do with how the states count those votes and what order they count those votes. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's actually two reasons that are kind of connected, but a little bit separate, that explain why the vote count has favored Joe Biden after election night itself. One is that many states, as I mentioned, don't count the early vote until Election Day itself. And it was the case this year that Democrats made a concerted effort, in part because of COVID-19, in part just because they wanted to build up a big vote. They tried to get their voters to vote early. And President Trump was actually discouraging his people to do that. So we knew that Joe Biden was building up a lead that wouldn't entirely materialize until the vote count continued. And that would take well into the late night of this morning and into today and even beyond to fully represent itself. A lot of people called it a red mirage because these states would look redder than they actually were, Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, until that vote rolled in. The second reason is that some of these states, again, get back to the decentralized process, the cities vote last, and those are Democratic. So that's why we're seeing the vote change as we go on.
All right, Rick Klein.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.